Hello, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Jesus Ortega, and I am the GIS coordinator for the City of Alcoa. And today, I'd like to talk to you about our implementation in our small municipality. We are going on 6 years of being live using Cityworks, and we started with the asset management system, just the AMS part. But we have in the last year we went live with our storeroom implementation and bringing on fleet to do vehicle work orders as well. But let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of information about what we have. If it can, hopefully, if it's helpful, by all means, my information is at the end of the presentation. Give me a ring, shoot me an email, whether there's something I can help with, or if you have any pointers for me, because I can always use pointers. But let's start about talking to you about little bit about the city. We have this saying right here. Our motto is excellence in service, quality of life. Our population is 10,000, and as I mentioned, I'm in the public works department, and we tackle the water, sewer, stormwater, streets, greenways, and fleet also falls under public works. So those are the things that we have been doing. And truly, when we started implementing Cityworks, it was mostly focused on water and sewer. However, we quickly found that Cityworks could help us with so many more things. The something that I do want to bring up right here is a slide from a presentation I did shortly after we went live. So the requirements at the time from the director of the department was that we needed to have an asset management, and that is a whole lot of, it can capture so much. But truly, what we were interested at the time was just having better record keeping. If a customer calls, we want to make sure that we could provide that service to that customer and find out if they had had similar problem 3 6 months ago, and if it's a repeat issue, we want to make sure that we actually fix the problem, not just patch a problem that would just get a very very unhappy customer. Anyways, the something that we needed as well was a way of tracking the equipment, the labor, and the material, the vehicle wear and tear. That's part of the vehicle, the equipment, utilizing those records for, say, a storm, and submitting an insurance, a FEMA ticket, with them. We need to have all that information there. Mapping, that was up in the priority because I'm a GIS background, obviously. And so when we found Cityworks, and it was a GIS centric software, that just absolutely, I was sold. But so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. You notice the ugly is right next to my face. I don't know, it's a very intuitive system. But I think the best way to do this is to continue with the slides, but also show you my the live page right here. So let's talk about record keeping, and a couple of things that we'd have here. What are the good things about Cityworks? What has worked well for us here in the city of Alcoa? Readily available. It doesn't matter where you're at. We have a public website that if you're working, the pandemic hits. Hopefully, knock on wood, it's not going to happen again. But you could, get this information from your house. It's a easy way to find information, to get to track the history of something that has been done. So something super quick that we have done, this main panel right here gives you the most recent service request and work orders that we have tackled. So let's say if I was searching, somebody have called in for a water tap, and let's say it's from 21st, so just last week. If we have a work order, that means that that is that work has been done, And the status is that if it's complete, open, as you can see. So let's go ahead and open this work order. And I guess something that's really nice, just for the ease of it, I'm just going to bring the printout right here. But this is when somebody requests service and they don't have a water meter in their property. This starts with a service request from the utility new services folks in the municipal building. It then turns into a work order, and in such work order, we are getting that meter information, that asset information that will, reside in the finance system, but also that in the geometry will reside in GIS. So the example right here is that we have that model number, that serial number, that make, and account number, which is very, very useful as we start making sure that we don't lose that information. It used to be a manual process. Now we can do it digitally. So that's very, very good. Reports. Let me go back to my main page, and we have better reports. We just actually, we are in the middle of getting audited for the MS4, the stormwater program, and we have a number of reports here, like illicit discharge work orders. So I'm going to say for the last 5 years, we want to see everything that we have tackled, all the illicit discharges. Well, then once again, that history of those problems, when we get audited, we can quickly see what the problem has been. And from here, we can go straight into our work orders. So when, it's, this actually is going to be the bad or the ugly on, it's not geocoded. So all of a sudden we don't have a geocoded work order. But anyways, that is still very good information as far as what happened with this issue, with this illicit discharge. The actual cost of doing business, if we go back to that work order that we were doing for the water meters, we can see that we actually have a cost that of how much things are we're putting our equipment, labor, materials. So we're getting that cost, that actual cost. Now, this is not just the cost of us doing the work. It's also how can we budget to make sure that we get that those things that we want to get done. So that brings me to a pavement management. So let's say we have a city roads pavement condition report that we have done. And this report right here, what it does is that it breaks down all of our city roads into the different conditions that we have. And if we scroll to the right, we actually have a cost for the milling and resurfacing those surfaces. So if you look, I'm going to expand this just a little bit so you can see the total all the categories. But let's say we wanted to fix all the roads that are in very poor condition. That's a total of 35 sections. And if we wanted to mill them, it would be $1.1 million. And depending on what type of surface we wanted to go back with, it's right around a little bit over 2.5 million. So, very quickly we can see that it's $3.6 million if we want to fix all of the very poor conditions. Now, if we want to see what those roads are, we can expand this grouping right here, and we can see when those roads were inspected and what condition they're in. So this is a calculated rate in 26. That's pretty bad from going from 1 to 100. The like I said, this information, how do we use it? When we are, as we went through our budget year this year, we started looking at this and, saying, well, we can only, we want to ask for $3 million to fix all the roads, but that's not realistic. We only have $200,000, and I'm just pulling numbers out of thin air. But we can quickly start adding from worse to better road condition, and we can see which roads we're going to be able to pave. So that is back to the actual cost of doing business, and it is pretty. It comes really handy because then you can justify some of those requests that you want to do. Now let's talk about the bad. There is bad with record keeping. Bad data in, bad data out. We saw that work order that didn't have it wasn't geocoded. So when we start looking at work orders, let's take for example a water leak, a pipe, it just kind of broke and we needed to repair it. If it's not geocoded, all of a sudden, if that asset is not tied to that work order, we don't have that information. We know that we did the work, we know how much it cost us, but all of a sudden we don't have that history that we're trying to keep track of for our assets. The ugly, quality control is ugly and tedious. And so as we look into our systems, it takes a while to say, okay, why don't we have an address for some of these work orders? Well, some of them are vehicle repairs, so obviously that would not have an address, but there are some like a meter replacement. This work order, not picking on my friend Gary here, but this should have an address, something geocoded. Once again, this is just part of doing business, and we are doing good, but there's always better. We can always do better. So let's talk about GIS data. That's automatic updates from work done in the field by the crews is phenomenal. So we do allow updates to GIS from Cityworks, but no geometry updates. That's something that I'm kind of picky about, and it has worked good for us. So what are we talking about? Some of those updates. Well, let's look at our map, and our inspectors, thinking about those pavement conditions, we inspect the roads every year. So what happens is we select those assets, create those inspections, and our inspectors can simply look at this map and start going straight from that map into the inspection. And obviously they're zoomed in a little more so they can see what road that is, but they do their regular inspection, and as soon as it closes, then that we are passing the inspection number, the inspection date, and the condition index for that road. That road is actually what ends up coloring our maps. So we have a view in GIS where, let me pull it up really quick for you guys to see. It's something that we really enjoy about Cityworks is that very quickly, and I'm sorry, I got visual stream assessment as well in here, but we can see that those are our road conditions. And as the customer calls and they're complaining about a road, we can say, actually, let us show you what the road, and you have worse roads. But this is very, very handy because all of a sudden, by doing this inspection that we were just talking about, it automatically updates the GIS. So that is a dream come true for any GIS manager out there, being able to just manage just the main, like the geometry, if you would, and then all the updates from the work that has been done, that we can do it. Something similar to pavement management like we have here is the acoustical testing for sewer lines and CCTV inspections. So that's something that it is really handy. And just since we're in this view right here, let me put the sewer lines, and you can see that we've done almost like a highlighted color to see which inspections have been done. But this goes back to having more visibility. Let's say I was I tackle, if I dealt more with water, but I have the sewer information. We have made those groupings right here for the utilities, where you can see the utility information. So it gives you a sense. Everybody is going to Cityworks, not just to do the work, but also to utilize the map. Maybe we want to know where the city boundaries finish. Maybe we want to see we have sewer in front of that property. So Cityworks has become that portal for our internal employees, that it's a necessity because we need to do better record keeping. This is how we do it. But at the same time, it's providing us information, that GIS information, that otherwise I would have to go to a different website. So that single place to access all your needs is fantastic. The bad, there is always bad. So the bad for our GIS is that errors surface quick. And we try to tackle them, but sometimes it is a little bit difficult, because you fix the error that might be here, but then what happens right after that? So you find an error, and all of a sudden it becomes, a long string of updates that you need to do, which we're glad, because we're getting our system better and better. But those errors do surface. When GIS is down, it does causes a little panic, because everybody's used to using it. So that's a good thing. It means that we just have to have a very reliable GIS, which we're happy that we do. But there has been some instances that it does go down, and especially it goes into the ugly right here, that when GIS goes down, because we are using SSO, which is phenomenal, and it eliminates having multiple usernames, passwords for everything. So as an employee here of the city, I have my username, password. I use the same username, password for GIS portal if I do want to explore that. But I use that same username and password for the Cityworks. So that gives me access to everything, and I don't have to remember another username and password. So it is awesome, but when GIS is down, that portal, that access to Cityworks does get, it gets affected. Luckily, we haven't had that many times that has been the case, and we always recover it from it pretty quickly. But, it does happen, and it is ugly. Processes. This is something that we have seen such a huge benefit from going into Cityworks, is that we have better processes. So for that, let me I guess I got a couple examples that I could use, but this Cityworks has allowed us to actually review and improve the processes that we were doing. So as an example, we used to create work orders that had with the asset, and then from there, that inspection would automatically kick out. So let's say for a backflow or a grease trap. Well, at that point, you have a work order and an inspection. Not a problem, and it does make sense to do it as such. Now that we're implementing PLL, we have a flow, a case that we call it the change of tenant, and that is when there's a new tenant to a commercial property, we require them to do an application for such things. So going back to those backflow inspections that we were having to do a work order, and those work orders would kick out an inspection, we would have to close the inspection and the work order. Now we have, let me open that case right here in our Cityworks. So this is PLL. And what's really nice about it is that based on those workflows that we have set up, and right here, let's say this property right here did not have a backflow, so they needed to do an inspection, and it created the inspection automatically from here. So it takes away those extra steps. So this streamlines processes that we have. Another example is thinking about our fleet. We had the software that we're using before was very convoluted, and we had to start. We were doing things from the mechanics perspective, just to fit the software. So now we have streamlined that. That if you want to search, very quick search of a vehicle, we can find it here. So let's say we're looking for something that um, somebody's vehicle, it streamlines it because right away I can search for a name of the person, and that this is the vehicle that they're assigned to. So then from here we can see the work history that has been done to that vehicle inspections, and we can find all the information about it, what's the mileage and whatnot. But it is a streamlined process that it has been very, very helpful for us. The bad is that any review will take time, and unfortunately, ain't nobody got time for that. I'm just kidding. It's time consuming. The ugly is that what works today might not work tomorrow. So I think that's something that that's just the reality. Sometimes we started thinking about those backflows that I mentioned, and you have a process that works for maybe the today, because you don't have that software like PLL at the time, because you don't have that case built up, and that's what you have to do. However, I think it's important to be flexible, to be able to say, you know what, let's rethink this. Let's take a look at it again, make sure that it is the best process that we have in place, and if not, let's make it fit our the day to day, because there might be better ways of doing things. So Cityworks, the software, the good. Let's talk about good. Well, database access is there. It's unlimited. You can jump in there and do some very quick database quality control, maintenance reports. That report that I displayed for the pavement, that was something that was in SSRS. So that's a database report, and that's nice that we're not tied to just one way of doing report. The sky's the limit when it comes to what do you want to accomplish with the software. One more report that I would like to show you is our fleet reports. We have been able to expand the reports that we had before. So these are automatic. Our mechanics, they do the inspections, and it automatically goes into the type of vehicle. Is it a heavy equipment repair? Is it a preventive maintenance work order? And as not only do we know that this are the numbers of work orders that we did in each month, but if we wanted to really dig deeper, we have what type of repairs did we do? Was it a tire, tubes, liners, and valves repair? Was it a fuel system repair, an exhaust system repair? And this is information that we didn't have before. So this is, like I said, it just improves the process that we have. We have live reports now, and it fosters everybody wanting to put that information that is actual, because we start seeing that, hey, I don't want to slack off. I did more work orders than we did last month, and I think that is fantastic. Another huge kudos to Cityworks, from my perspective, is their excellent customer service. I've had issues with the software, questions sometimes. A lot of times it's on me, on the user, but their customer service is amazing, has always been, and I'm very, very thankful for that. The bad, there is bad about Cityworks. Cityworks, cover your ears, but it does take time to manage and test new developments. We love being able to see new things, but the reality is that it does take time to test that. And as we have grown over this past 6 years, we've seen that it's a little bit more difficult to just say, you know what, let's update to the newest one, because we need to test all those processes. We need to test, make sure that nothing's gonna get, that it's not gonna work as we have it right now, because we do have the customization of reading the fuel reading. So if that breaks, that's going to create a problem. Most of the time, that's not the issue, but I'd rather be on the safe side than just kind of like all of a sudden not have a job. So the ugly part about Cityworks is as the environment grows, the intricacies makes it difficult to stay current, and that is something that we are lucky to be a smaller, so we have been able to play around with like really cool, developments like styles and stuff, but it's limited because it goes back to the time. But it does makes it difficult sometimes to stay updated on the newest and the latest and greatest. As we've covered the good, the bad, and the ugly, I do want to wrap it up now with the overall take. So what is the overall take? The good with our implementation with using Cityworks is that the sky is the limit. You start thinking about a process that you have in place, and you start saying, well, can Cityworks help us with that? Yes. We started doing work orders on our HVAC units because we wanted to keep better record keeping of that. We started keeping track of when I have to start the process of getting the renewal for our membership for Cityworks, for Autodesk, etc., through a set of work orders that we have. So we don't end up, waiting for somebody calling us from Cityworks saying, hey, you haven't paid for Cityworks, so you're not going to be able to use it anymore. So that is the nice thing about the system, that it truly is, the focus is on the process that you have in place. The bad, time is limited. So as I like to think about improving so many things, but I can only do so much because time is limited. Funds are limited sometimes as well. But, I wish there was a couple more hours to the day. That would make it a lot easier to accomplish more. The ugly is that no matter how much you do, sometimes, at least in my opinion, here for the City of Alcoa, I don't think we're ever going to be truly 100% done. There's always new developments for the software. There's always new things that we can, to really take a look at and see if there is something that we can do better. How can we improve reports? Let's rethink how we did that, and let's see if that's the best way to do it. On top of that, ESRI, we're utilized ESRI for GIS, and that's something that technology changes. Technology changes is amazing, but then once again, it does create a little more of work in making sure that those processes that you have in place, they continue. Luckily, Cityworks and GIS are worked extremely well, and that's something that I'm very thankful for. With that said, once again, I'm very thankful for your time. My name is Jesus Ortega, and I'm the GIS coordinator here at the City of Alcoa. My information is here. If there's anything that you would that I can be of any help, please let me know. If you have pointers, please send them my way. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, and happy Cityworks conference.